The Global Returns Project is recognizing Earth Day 2021 by thinking about climate optimism. Despite all the environmental challenges we face, why should we feel hopeful about our ability to tackle the climate crisis? We're releasing a brand new report on this topic entitled The Case for Climate Optimism, a new approach to encouraging social change. Here to talk with me about the report is its author, our advisory board member, Adan Lury. Hi, Adam.
Hi there.
So, Adam, your report outlines a new understanding of how social change happens. Can you tell me a little about that new understanding and how it relates to the climate crisis?
I was very struck by the fact that in the West, there's very much a focus on the individual. So the idea that an individual, in order to enact a positive social change, takes on the situation, often embodied as another group of individuals, and there's a struggle between the two groups of people. Now, sometimes that works very well. That creates what you might call a kind of heroic tradition. You know, the people battling against the odds and fighting other groups of people, but always coming back to the individual. But I think when it comes to kind of social change on a really massive global scale, then it starts to backfire. What happens is the individual, quite rightly, in many senses, I think, of the word, ends up thinking, well, I can't change the whole world, right? So you have a kind of logical defeatism there. That's what I might want to call it. And people give up. Well, what can I do? Does it really make any difference? And so what I was thinking about was, well, how can we create a narrative that means that people don't give up, that people feel positive and optimistic about it? And I was very struck when I was reading a book by Francois Jullien called The Propensity of Things. He's a French philosopher. He's talking about a Chinese concept of what he calls shi, which is a kind of propensity or the potential of things. Now, very quickly, what he's arguing is that from an Eastern perspective, what one does is one looks at the environment, right? One widens the lens. So one doesn't just focus on the individual, one looks at everything that's going on around you, and that involves things and structures, infrastructure, that kind of thing. And that what one does then is to look at the potential within those things to change. And that if you take a view that actually the world itself can change, and there are things in there, there are forces within there that you can, in a sense, manipulate and liberate, then the notion of change on a massive level, I think you start to change your understanding of what that's about.
And Adam, after you introduce this new approach to social change, you use it to identify 4 reasons that we might feel hopeful about climate action in this moment. What are those reasons for hope or optimism?
The first is that actually we're in a situation where the debate is over. Right, the notion that climate change is a contested thing is gone. Right, poll after poll shows that at least 70% of the global population identify climate change as the most pressing concern. So that's the first one. I think the second one is that this notion that I was talking about the fact that it's not the individual who has to be the focus of change, that actually by looking at the sort of structures around and trying to and seeing them as ways in which we can engineer change, changing the structures, that I think is gradually seeping into the popular imagination, again, particularly in the West. So that's the second one. The third one is possibly the only benefit that I think comes out of the COVID pandemic, right? Is the sense that we are all in this together. We have viscerally experienced the fact that we are all kind of interconnected, that there isn't an over there anymore. There isn't an outside, that actually we are integral to nature. We are not outside of it somehow manipulating. And the final one, and in a sense, very specific one, is that the financial services industry is itself at a point of change where there are forces coming through it, it is both adapting to, but not yet fully adapted to. So the notion of ESG investing or climate or impact investing yes, they're picking that up. So that's first of all a positive change. But I think there are other things going on that affect the whole commercial world that will begin to surface and force them to change even further.
Right. And Adam, what do you hope people take away when they read this article?
In essence, I want people to feel optimistic, and I want people to feel energized, and I want people to look at the world in a different way. Right? I want to hopefully to get people out of a mindset that leads to what I've called logical defeatism, right? Where, in a sense, the individual is overwhelmed by the size of the challenge and the task, to actually being able to see what I might call a kind of structural momentum out there, and that their role can be involved in unleashing the force and the potential for change at a really kind of massive scale. And in that sense of open-endedness and a possibility, rather than of being closed down, of being forced to choose between things. That's what I hope people would take.
Well, Adam, I'm already feeling energized, and thanks so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thanks very much, Jay.
And you can read The Case for Climate Optimism for free right now. Visit the Knowledge Hub on the Global Returns Project website, or click the link in the video description. Thank you.